Now the RG351 series of retro emulation handhelds are some of the best emulation handhelds you can get on the market today, especially for under £100 or $100, with the RG351M being the pinnacle of that range. Now, if you want to check out a review of the RG351M and the RG351P, then you can check out the link up here. But for as amazing as the RG351 consoles are, they are far from perfect. There are some emulation issues when it comes to the higher end consoles on these devices. And there are also some hardware features that I think are sorely missing from these devices. Kick off your shoes and relax your socks while we discuss what I would love to see in the inevitable RG352 iteration of these consoles. Now, like I said at the beginning of this episode, the RG351 range of emulation handhelds are absolutely superb, and they've turned me into a die-hard fan of retro emulation handhelds. However, they're far from perfect, and there are some things I would love to see in the RG352 series that is inevitably going to come out. But before we get into that, if you are a fan of retro games and retro emulation handhelds, then hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you do not miss out on future episodes. Because I am on a journey. I am on a mission to find out what the best retro emulation handheld out there is to give me all the nostalgia that I crave from being a young gamer. Now, the first thing that has to be said about the RG351 consoles is that the processor that was chosen for these handhelds is not the best available on the market. And because of that, there are some emulation issues, especially when you approach the N64 and the Dreamcast generation of consoles. Now, with a console like this, with all the features it provides and the form factor, I would love to be able to explore my Dreamcast and PlayStation 2 library as well. So for that reason, I would love the RG352 to come with an even more powerful processor. But not just a more powerful processor, the most powerful processor you could expect in a retro emulation handheld. You see, I see Anbernic as potentially leading the way in these emulation handhelds. With the revisions that they regularly bring out, they are definitely getting close to being top dogs on the market. And for that reason, I think they should definitely be pushing the boundaries, especially when it comes to the capabilities of these handhelds. I would be more than happy to pay a little bit extra for a console that had the best chip on the market. And with that, hopefully would come crisp emulation for PSP, N64, Dreamcast, and I'm putting it out there, PlayStation 2 and GameCube. Now, I know the PlayStation 2 and GameCube might be pushing it a bit, but I definitely think that is where Anbernic are going to be heading, and that's where their aspirations are going to be. It would be brilliant to see an RG352 that at least gave us an 80% potential of emulation for those consoles. Now, one of my favorite things about the 351 consoles is the form factor, and there's not a lot of things I'd want them to change about this, but one of the things in particular is I would like to have staggered R1 and R2 and L1 and R2 buttons as opposed to them being alongside each other. Something along the lines of the Retroid Pocket, which kind of emulates the Nintendo Switch style. I wouldn't mind sacrificing a little bit of depth just to have a little bit of an easier and more comfortable approach for the R2 and the L2 buttons. Another thing I would love to see is a greater range of colours available for the P and the M. In the plastic variants, it would be amazing to see some of those gorgeous translucent colours we remember from the 90s consoles. And when it comes to the RG352M, I would love to see more variations in terms of pearlescent and even metallic glossy finishes. Now, as much as it would be an absolute fingerprint magnet, imagine how amazing a chrome finished RG352M would look. Or even better, imagine a pearlescent purple blue RG351M with a matte finish. That would look absolutely stunning. Now, the final thing I would love to see on the RG352 lines, and I think this is kind of an essential addition. This is something that is really needed, especially in modern day gaming, and especially for YouTubers like me. I would love to see a HDMI out, because that is something that is sorely missing in the RG351 lines for me. For as much as I love these consoles, and I love to play them all the time, I would also love to have the opportunity to live stream them, because I think it would be a really interesting way to display to people how these consoles play. And I would also love to be able to enjoy some of my free time live stream gaming to be spent on a handheld console, playing some of the games that I'm really enjoying. And for that reason, I think having a HDMI out is an almost essential hardware feature that is needed on the RG352 line of video game handheld consoles. Now, I know without doubt, with such a strong community as we have in the retro emulation handheld world, there are going to be things that I haven't mentioned and things that you guys are dying to see on the RG352 line of video game handheld consoles. So do not be shy, let me know what they are in the comments below, and who knows, maybe Anbernic will see this and maybe they'll pick up some of those ideas. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode and you enjoy retro emulation handhelds and you want to join me in this journey of finding out which one the best ones are, then hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss out on future episodes. Once again, thank you for watching and see you next time.